the day of adventure. My brother is taking a day off today, so it's just me rolling up to pick up the group at the Alden Bridge Center. It's a mild day. We're about probably 13, 14 Celsius, closer to maybe 19. It's in the mid 60s, mid to upper 60s. And it's supposed to be like 30 C for a high, thereabouts, 30, 32. Good morning. And so, should be interesting. Get some good clips for you all.
On this ride, I left Northampton, rode into the woodlands, picked up the group at the Alden Village Center. We headed out on 1488 West. That's on camera. It was very foggy, so I filmed until we got across Mount Moriah there, turned it off. Once we got past Karen, rode on 1486. We got through Dobbins. When we got to Dacus, the fog had burned off. So I turned on the camera there and filmed all the way on Johnson Road, 1097 through the forest. We came down on 149, took Hidden Forest Road to Mount Pleasant Road and back to Taco. That's all on film. We stopped at Taco, then we headed out the historic route through Springbranch Road. That's on film. And then through the neighborhood, Grand Lake Estates, and ended the filming when we got to Honia Egypt Road. It was a very, very mild day. It warmed up a little bit at the end, but I think that you would love the clips we put together for you.
You burn off soon. Just it's not as dense, so that's good.
We're leaving the Alden Village Center in the Woodlands, Texas. You can see it's foggy. Whenever the dew point reaches
I think they must leave from Whole Foods or something. I think Mo rides to Whole Foods and picks up a group.
We're talking about the weekday rides. I can't make those evening rides. But the dew point, when the temperature is like in the 60s and it's close to the dew point, that's when you get fog. Or whatever temperature it is, when the dew point is close to the temperature, that's when you get fog. So at this point, we're on 1488 West. We're near Cimarron Boulevard. That's the light coming up here. I decided to turn the camera on, but as you will see, I had a challenge. I had to keep wiping the lens to get the moisture off of it. There's a lot of debris on there, little sand, small rocks. So in a little bit, I'm gonna actually get on the main road, on the main lane, right there, because I checked it's clear. Because some truck going by probably dropped a lot of sand, rocks or something. I'm gonna like rolling over it. And it's clearing up here now. I'm gonna go back on the shoulder. Mike Barreras is pulling at this point. That's Darren on his wheel. And I'm on Darren's wheel. In a little bit, I think I'm going to flip the camera around. Clement Champoussin is sporting the Asos IS Akip line today. You can see the visibility is very low. It burned off in about an hour. By the time we got to Dacus, the sun was out. So to be able to tolerate this kind of riding, or speed work, intervals, whatever, as I've said before, you have to start with a decent aerobic base, which gives you the ability to recover quickly and spend more time in your aerobic zone before you need to start using your glycogen stores that much. You see how the camera looks a little misty. In a little bit, I'm gonna wipe it. Yeah, right there. I can literally see that on the lens. So by keeping yourself in shape, you can do other things other than just riding. You can be riding at a decent effort and still be able. I took my glasses off and put them on the back of my head because the mist just got them to wear. Unless you got wipers, you don't need them right now. The benefits of riding in a group is very apparent. You know, week after week, I can see riders who are struggling the first few weeks. They're getting better. They're tolerating the pace more. I mean, they don't have that little extra, you know, when people start getting frisky and jumping and so forth. But you can see the improvement in their fitness. So it's good to incorporate, whether it's a group ride, a grand fondo, a race, whatever you're into your training regimen. You train and you go and test yourself. Like Pereira's pulled off, so I'm going to roll behind Darren's wheel here. I don't like to do too much pulling when I'm holding the camera here, because then I end up flipping it behind, then I got to flip it to the front. So after a few kilometers, we're going to come to an intersection, and I'm going to let people come around me. But not everybody comes around, so there's a gap, and I'll end up closing the gap. But you can look in the distance. You couldn't see very far. And this is when, if you're driving a car, you need your headlights on, not your brights, low beams. The brights will reflect off the water molecules and actually hurt your visibility in the fog. If your vehicle has fog lights, definitely put them on so you're more visible. This stretch is slightly downhill, flat to slightly downhill. See, once again, the camera lens is accumulating the moisture from the fog. I periodically remind myself to wipe it. The camera's lens has Rain-X on it, so with the wind, it's gonna blow these blobs of moisture off. It's not raining, it's just the fog. So in about 10 kilometers, I'm going to turn the camera off because I decided I'm just going to wait till the day clears up. We're stopping for an intersection, and this, you hear the discs? All the disc brakes were noisy because of the moisture from the fog. They're like musical instruments. Once they get wet, they get noisy. Just the resonance of that moisture. So yeah, I was hoping everybody would come around, but you know, there are a couple of people behind me, so I'm just gonna go ahead and I think I was sorting the camera. I was doing something, and so I'm gonna ride up once I got it taken care of. About 500 watts or so. The road's flat. This is Jonathan. That's Clement Champoussin in the blue Asos Akip RS kit. I think that's cyan blue. He's got the matching socks. So when you're riding on a day like this, as you can see how effective those lights are. You want something on your bike to let the other road users know you're out there. So we have a light on the front and the back. It doesn't need to be super bright, but it helps to have some movement on the light. Flickering light gets their attention. And they can use that to gauge your depth perception as to how far you are from them. Darren pulled off. He took a long pull. John Clement Champoussin Malbrek is pulling right now. So with my glasses off, yeah, this is how it actually looks. So you can see it's not that bad. As we got further out, the visibility improved. Like right here, visibility is better than when we initially turned on 1486, closer to town. We're riding at around 24 miles an hour. I know there's a hole on the left in about a kilometer from here. So I'm gonna stay a little to the right. The hole's been there for years. From the time they built the road, I think. They just need to fill it with some cement. A little bit of a bump here, Just slight grade. That's the hole I was talking about. It's been there for years. It's clearer than it appears because the mist is on the lens right now. Right after this rise, there's a subdivision called Mostin on the right. And then we'll come to the intersection with the new grocery stores and stuff before we get to Mount Moriah. On the outskirts of Montgomery County, Magnolia, Northwest Montgomery County. Magnolia is the area we're close to right now. There's a high school as we ascend Mount Magnolia. High school on the right. That's the intersection coming up to where all these new outdoor shopping centers are being built. We're using this turn lane because this lane goes to the high school I was talking about on the right. And if anybody wants to use that, they need to queue up behind us instead of us riding on that little shoulder to the right there. Because this lane ends and then we continue on the shoulder. If you watch the watts here, probably climb like 350 to 4 something. We didn't go that hard. It felt steady to me. We crest Mount Magnolia. I basically kept my cadence close to 80. I was just sitting in really. We're descending. They're doing some kind of construction out here. I'm not sure what they're doing. somewhere around here, I decided I'm gonna stop filming when we get to the intersection up there and wait for the day to get clearer. You can see all the moisture on the lens. That's what it looks like. Wind. It's the wind blowing the moisture. I turned the camera around and I saw all the moisture on it. That's why I wiped it. So in a little bit, I'm going to turn it off and turn it back on when we get to Dacus. That's all those disc brakes making noise.
Cars back. Just so happens that steady water goes downhill.
So at this point, we're leaving the Jorge's store right there. This is Dacus, Texas. We're getting on Johnson Road. The train just passed. We're getting over the tracks here, and we're headed east. We're gonna go through the forest on Mount Pleasant Road, you know, hidden forest, come back through. But this section here will take us on 1097 going north, which is called Bethel. There's a section of this road that we heard about from a rider that we used to ride with a lot, Mark Kate. He said that it's been paved. It's after you pass Bethel, and it used to be, it was nice and hilly, but it had a lot of patina, bumps, cracks, whatever. And now it's like baby black asphalt, just beautiful and smooth. They need to do the same thing down here. The reason you see all these cracks on this road is because when it rains, this road is submerged. It doesn't take that much rain for this road to be underwater. So that's kind of hard on the pavement.
What's that hole?
Yeah, all those holes because of the water washing away the soil beneath the road. And once you get these cracks, the next time water comes, it just goes through the cracks. This ride was very fast, just overall, the whole ride. We had a tight group, a small group, but focused group. We didn't mess around. The stops were short and efficient. You can see how the day has brightened up. Now cows on the right, we always wave at them. They always look at us when we come by. They see us as a herd of cyclists. Got a tight line going here. I stay a little back so I can see around Jonathan here because I want to pay attention to this road and avoid the worst of the bumps. Jonathan's adjusting his shoe. We just passed Bethel on the left there, I believe. This road is going to start gradually kicking up. I think it probably says 2%. You just feel it. And from here until we get to 1097, it's up and down. It's a good route. I don't even remember if we were passed by a car at all. Maybe one, if that. But I wasn't paying attention to that. It's just I was paying attention to the writing. You see, I got closer here. The effort is going up. It's between 2 to 6% grades in this section. See the word visually going up. It says 4%. This is where the beautiful new pavement has started. Look at that. Baby asphalt. As smooth as a baby's behind. We had to come check it out. And it should last because this side is drier. This is a higher elevation. So this side does not get submerged. That was Chris that was pulling. He's pulled off. I think Pedro is at the front. In a little bit, Jonathan is going to move to the left because the pace kind of slows on the climb and he wanted to keep a higher effort. So he moved on the left. Then Mike Barrera will take up the chase. I will jump on his wheel. So it gets pretty interesting. The effort is on here. You can see I'm almost 500 watts. I rode up to Mike's wheel to sit there. This is what Jonathan's going to just increase the effort. He's not really attacking. He just rides a little harder. And I think Pedro should have gotten on his wheel because you can see he's right there. He just watches him go and the gap continues to grow. Or maybe he couldn't lift his pace.
Yep.
So I'm sitting on Mike's wheel. I'm watching. I figure he's going to ride up in a little bit. So Jonathan has a gap. And he's just riding. He's just holding his effort. I don't know if Mike looked back or not. I don't know if he looked back first before he made this move. But he just, on this part, he just went. I'm on his wheel. He's telling Pedro to get in line, get in on the wheel. Pedro should have gotten on Jonathan's wheel. He will close the gap real quickly. And then what I liked is that when he gets there, he does not queue up behind Jonathan. He goes by, like basically saying, the train is here. It dips and then it kicks up. We go by. And he takes, since he's been there for a while, he's gonna pull to the right, and I'm just gonna go through. Keep the effort going. That's all. Don't worry about the speed. Just keep the effort because the terrain is changing. It's gonna go up, so the speeds will drop, but the effort is important. So I'm going to hold the effort for a bit. I'm going to flick my elbow. Once I get around this turn, I believe I finish this climb. And then I flick my elbow and move to the right. And then John will come by. Somewhere around here. You see 500 and some watts. That's a grade. I move over right here. Flick my elbow. So we can keep the line moving. That's Pedro. And then Jonathan. Then he grabs Pedro's pocket. I guess he's messing with him. Somewhere here, right there. He's like, you gonna pull me? Go ahead and pull me. Then he leaves it and he goes. So I just get on his wheel. Because there's a gap there. And look at this pavement. Just beautiful. They had paved this section a little while back, a few months back. And we're moving. This is slightly downhill. It's close to flat. Flat to a little downhill.
Left.
So we're getting to 1097. I tell them we're going left. If you go right, you're heading back into town to Taco Corner, into Montgomery. We're going to go left because we're doing a bigger loop. We'll let everybody know there's a car coming. We check and it's clear. The group's kind of spread out behind me. We're going to turn. And the group is gapped.
Careful.
the group is gapped, so I'm going to ride up to Jonathan's wheel. I'm going to try to tell him to back off a little bit because he saw that the group was gapped, but he just kept riding. So I ride up to him and just sit on his wheel. And I remember trying to tell him to, back off a little bit so the group can catch up.
Back off a little there.
But he didn't hear me. We're going into the wind. So I just let it go. I'm like, they'll catch up. We're not going that hard. But we're not going easy either. 300 some watts. They'd have to work to get to us. So he's got a rhythm going and he's just trying to maintain it. So I just sit on his wheel. The wind is actually coming from in our face and to the right. So you will hear Jonathan say, when he finally pulls off, he'll say, I think I should have pulled to the right. And I told him, it's okay. It's fine. You really should pull off into the wind wherever possible. It's always best. You pull off into the wind to give the person coming through some shelter. But it's not a big deal. Yeah, we're going up the hill, into the wind, basically crosswind from the right. Cross headwind, I guess I could call it. So it's hard. You can hear the wind. I think the group has caught us by now. They've caught up. But I'd much rather stay on the wheel. If you're up front, stay with the wheel instead of sliding back and having to work back up to the wheel you were with. So I just stayed here. We're working hard here because I'm in the middle of zone 4. So that's where he pulled off.
I should probably turn off to the right, huh? It's okay. Yeah.
He said I should probably have turned off to the right. That's okay. Yeah, the wind is coming from the right and in our face. No big deal, I wasn't overlapped or anything. I wasn't really using an echelon, so that's what he meant. Because ideally it would have been cool to be a little to his left in an echelon, and he would have to pull to the right. But no big deal. I'm gonna pull for a bit and then get off the front. We're about to enter the forest in a little bit. Boy, you see those trees up there. I think it's a few kilometers up the road. Yeah, I pulled off. Mike Burris coming in. And that's John Clement Champoussard in the Asos the RS kit.
The other guy on the track drop. He may have gone to Taco.
He's asking about Max. Max, we had a rider with us. You guys didn't get to see. He spent quite a bit of time on the back. He did a long pull on Jackson Road, but the camera was off at that point. But Max went back towards Taco. Where we turned left, he turned right. And I think on Johnson Road, he let us go when we left Dacus. He was with us at Dacus.
He hasn't been riding much lately.
Yeah, so his name is Max. He's been riding for a long time, but he's off his program, so he just came out for a little bit. The pace of our group varies based on the time of year and who shows up. That's just the way it is. Sometimes if it's just Paul and I, we chill more, we talk. And then we have stretches where we ride. You guys have been watching the videos for a while. We don't hammer all the time. But when there are other riders, we're not going to slow them down. If whatever they want to do, we're game. So our group has different personalities. And that's kind of consistent in cycling for the most part. I think it's more fun that way. Depending on who's there, they animate the group. And that's the whole point. Because, we ride these roads all the time. The interesting part is who you ride with and how you ride it. That's what really makes it interesting. The company makes it interesting. We're in the forest. The Sam Houston National Forest. This section is called Bethel Road. And there are private homes here, you can see on the right, within the forest. People own sections of properties in here. Anywhere you see fences, it's private property, but they're part of the forest. The cool thing is we don't have to worry about these trees being cleared. It's always cooler through here. Our weather is like a chameleon down here. Hot, cold, whatever. The last couple of weeks I've had just reaction, allergic. Well, I wouldn't say allergic, my allergies to the pollen and everything. The plants are freaking out. One day it's 30 C, 80 degrees. The next day it's 10, 50, 50 degrees Fahrenheit. So the plants can't decide what they're doing. So the stuff in the air. You get home, your bike is light green, covered in pollen, and that just it bothers my sinuses, and I end up sneezing. Last week on the ride when we left the group, when we were cooling down, I was sneezing on the way home on the bike. So same thing after this ride. So it's just that time of year. This is a grade here. I think it's about 2%. You see the power right there. And something watts to do 25 kilometers an hour to like 15 or something. That's how you know you're working. I'm gonna let Mike in because the guy behind us, he's very patient. He's been sitting there where we're not aware. He came up quietly. He's in a pickup truck. So we kind of want him to go on by his business. I waved at him as he went by. He's very patient, We all gotta work together. We gotta share the road. So Mike slipped in. Mike said he had good legs on this day. And he was never under much pressure, so that's good. It's good when you have days like that. So you have to work on your bike fit. I cannot stress that enough.
Straight to Taco.
Yeah, letting him know about Max. Because it's a small group, so everybody knew we had lost one. And we don't want to leave anybody out here, We wait. We make our moves and then we regroup and we make sure we know where everyone is. But what I was gonna say is you have to work, you have to invest in your fit. I don't care how cheap or expensive your bike is. If it doesn't fit you, you will not be efficient or optimal. It has to fit you right so you can use all the muscles in your leg. Otherwise, you will be uncomfortable and maybe only pushing down or, you're just not putting power through the whole circle. And then you put weight on your hand and then your elbow is sore. There's all kinds of other ailments that come from an ill-fitted bicycle. And you end up trying to correct those symptoms with the wrong adjustments. So everything does start with fit. Making sure you got the right size frame for you with the right angles so you can set up your saddle correctly. We're on the open road. There aren't too many intersections here, and the few that there are, they're like a stop sign. So you can't depend on an intersection to catch your breath. You got to work on your fitness. That's why we come out here. We want to work and not be stopping all the time. The exercise potential is very high, and that's why we head out of town on the weekends. Because during the week we ride in town. We still have roads in town where you can ride for stretches, but it's not like here. So even in town, we look for areas where you can go several miles before you come to an intersection. And then at some of those intersections, we go ahead and turn right, because in Texas, you can turn right with care on red. We turn right, do a little loop. And I'm talking about solo rides or 1 or 2 riders, just to keep moving and keep that heart rate up. I don't want to sit at a red light for 45 seconds or a minute, you know, especially the ones that don't recognize bikes. So we turn right, then do a circle, a U-turn on that road, and come back if we want to go the same way. Do like a little jig. I'm just watching everything at this point. In a few kilometers, you will see a gap open, and Mike will be rolling off the front without even trying. So Jonathan here will ride up to him, and Champousant, John Malbrecht, will ride on Jonathan's wheel. And I'm sitting and watching to see if the other guys will close. They don't. And I eventually just pass on the right and ride up there. Because in my opinion is if a wheel is going by you, I mean, unless you're really dead tired, you're better off getting on that wheel quickly than to wait till there's a gap and then to chase that wheel that you could have gotten on. I think it takes more energy to do that. Unless you think the person is going to slow down or be slowed down by something.
Control burn.
I'm telling Mike Barrera on the left. Barrera's on the left. You see all the forest. They're burning the shrubs, so that when summer comes in, we don't have these little fires. Mike's gonna go to the front here. I think the pace has a lull, or somebody's riding off the front. I don't know what's going on here. We're just kind of scattered. John pulled off the front. I'll move to the left here. Just kind of keep my eye out. But we just ride. Okay. So this area here, we could smell the smoke. On the right and left, they're burning the low-lying shrubs. All the dry stuff. Tinder, you know, things that can catch fire easily. Because fire needs fuel. If there's no fuel, you don't have to worry about fire. So they get rid of all these dry seedlings and other things, shrubs, and you don't have to worry about it. I think this is where he rides to the front. Something's going on up there. Yeah, there's a gap. Jonathan's going, Pedro's on his wheel, Mike moved up. I'm just watching to see, because if I don't need to expend the energy, I'll just sit on this wheel right here and save that energy for later. Because this is a ride, this route I put together has almost 900 some meters of climbing. It's a lot of climbing. For area. So right now I'm sitting on Darren's wheel, but my eye is up ahead. I'm watching the gap to Champousant. And if it continues to grow, I'm gonna close it. So now he speeds up. But that takes more energy. He should have just stayed on Shimpusan's wheel. That little burst. Every time you do that, how many of those can you do throughout a 4 or 5 hour ride, 4 hour ride? So yeah, when you're riding, be aware of that. Save those little packs or matches you're burning. You can use them in a different spot. I mean, you're gonna ride with these guys anyway. You might as well stay on the wheels. So I'm just watching. I'm just sitting, just watching. And there's good footage too. You see the watts. The forest is not easy. We're working up and down. I think it says 2% right now. This section here is a gradual grade. It stays around 2%, I think, most of the way until it starts to descend. This is where Mike Barrera was not even trying, and he ends up just riding off the front. And I think he may already be off the front. He's got a gap here. And Jonathan's gonna ride up to him, and then Shimpusan will join him. And I'm just gonna watch everything develop. And then once it's there, I'll go ahead and ride up to them before we get to 149. By the time we get there, I'm on his wheel. He's off the front. He's not even aware of it. He said he was holding like 310 watts. Yeah, there he is. So Jonathan's gonna ride up. And John's gonna go on Jonathan's wheel. Right now, there's no commitment to get to Mike's wheel. That's Mike in the distance. But, you know, they were right there and watched him ride off. That's the stuff I talk about. So if you're going to ride with him, just get on his wheel. Now Jonathan's going. Now John is going on John to catch up with Jonathan when he could have just gone with Jonathan. So those are the things I'm pointing out. Those are little energy spikes that are not necessary. So I'm watching to see who else is going to do something. I want to see if these guys want to close the gap or they're just going to sit back here. So I'm going to go on the right here and look at my watts. So I see Pedro. I just slip on his wheel, see how long he can do this. He's not able to close the gap. Right there, he starts coasting. So I just move around him. It's not time to coast. So we're going to close. Let's do it. Plus, it's downhill. It favors me anyway, so I just roll up to them. 46 kilometers an hour. Almost 30 miles an hour here. So I get up to them in a hurry. And I will let them know that I think John will actually tell them because he looks behind. Once we turn, he's going to say, oh, we need to wait for the guys. Because right before the turn, I catch up to them.
Let people get back together.
So ideally, if you're riding with somebody, unless they're really launching a vicious attack, you're just better off staying on their wheel than letting them go. And, you know, we spent all that energy to close back up. I'm going to ride up and let Mike Barreras know that the boys are having some challenges so that he can back off. Because he's got a rhythm now. He just wants to keep rolling so we can get a taco and wrap up this ride. Mike doesn't like stopping unnecessarily. And neither does more. You know, you come out to get a workout. Let's go. So I realized, okay, I'm just gonna sit on that wheel and until everybody gets back. I guess they're getting back, but I just stay up here. And we're on 149 South, and it's just as lumpy as the forest was, probably more so. There are a lot of little bumps on this road. So you come on this road, yeah, you got to do some work. So Mike pulls off the front there, and Jonathan will take over. I'm gonna let him know here. I thought the boys are struggling. Let's, so we can kind of temper the pace. And we're going kind of fast. We're not really waiting. That's the thing. We're not waiting, so that there has been no respite on this ride. We're still going fast. The speeds are dropping here because the road's going up. The effort is high, 300 something watts, almost 400 watts. So we're working. Another cyclist going the other way. The overall average for the ride, I guess with them, was probably close to 20 miles an hour. My warm up and cool down, dropped the average to almost 18 or something like that. But the ride itself was fast. And that's, fighting the wind and the hills. We didn't have any favorable winds pushing us. But look at this day. It's burned off. It's beautiful. Fair day. The speeds are increasing because we're going slightly downhill. I think it's like -2 or something. And that's the thing about this road. You go really fast, almost 31 miles an hour, and then it's going to kick up, and then you've got to really adjust your gearing so that you have legs left. Because we're going into the forest, and it's lumpy in there. You see the watch? 400 and something. The road's starting to go up here. It goes from -2 to like 2 in a hurry. So your rhythm, you have to shift. Almost 500 watts. So the plan here is to ride up to a road called Hidden Forest Road. And I see why they call it Hidden Forest, because from this road, if you don't know it's there, you will pass the intersection before you're aware. Even though they have a sign there. It's at the bottom of a hill is where it turns, and it's almost not very visible unless you're actively looking for it. When Jonathan pulls off, I'm going to pull for a while, but not very long. I'll pull for a while and then pull off, just to keep things rolling. So we're riding around 22, 23 miles an hour. Just steady. In rolling terrain. There were a lot of motorcyclists out this day. Beautiful day. There's another guy there. This is the kind of riding where you find a rhythm, you put it in a gear, and you just kind of cruise. Jonathan's done. So I'm going to keep the effort similar to what he was doing. We pulled off on a relatively flat stretch to slightly downhill, which was nice. So I get a chance to settle into some kind of rhythm. I'm at the bottom of zone 4, right around sweet spot is where I am. I try to keep the effort there. So I shift down and I rev up just a little. The road's going up a little bit, right? It was like -1, now it's going to 0. You can look at it. The grid starts to kick in. The watts will start to go up a little bit, and it's leveling off here again. So I'm going to shift up. Trying to keep things steady so people can catch their breath. So by keeping it steady, my heart rate's actually going down. But it allows other people to get a rhythm. I won't stay up here too long. I'm probably riding a 53.16 at this point. Somewhere around here, I think I'm going to pull off. I think somewhere here. You don't want to stay up there and your speed start dropping. Yeah, right here, pull off. I wanted to keep the same effort. And Mike gave me a thumbs up, so now I'm going to slip back in. I'm looking down so I can watch the wheels. And so Chris says last one. I mean, that's nice, but I don't need it. I look before I move over. So I slip behind him. When I slip behind him, I put it in a larger gear. And I don't know if I'm standing or not, but I slowed my cadence down, grabbed a bottle, took a drink. That's what I'm doing back here. That's why you see my cadence in the 60s. The road's going up, but I can turn these gears. And I'm probably in a 53, 16, something like that. There's a lot of debris. I'm always watching for the traffic in the main lane. You never know when you're gonna need to use it. Chris is stretching his back. A lot of times if you have to do that a lot, then maybe, especially on a hard ride, maybe you need to really watch your gearing and, ease up a little bit on the ratios. That will help, Because when you push too hard for too long, sometimes, you get a little ache in your back because you're using those muscles too. The benefit of being in a draft, I come to the draft and my heart rate dropped almost 15, 16 beats. Probably stood up here. I think I shifted up to a larger gear. Yeah, I stood up. Felt better. I'm also keeping my eye on the signs because we're going to be turning left. And the road I talked about that is very difficult to see, especially from this direction, because it's on the left at the bottom of a curve. A curve and a little slight hill. John was pulling. He pulled. I think I'm going to tell him to get in. I'm going to tell him to get in, yeah.
Good job.
Setting up a little bit. There was a lot of yo-yo. When you're going down the hill and you're behind people, you get sucked along. So I backed off a little bit. And I'm trying to avoid braking, so I'm going to move to the right. Then I'm going to drift back to leave a space for John.
You're good.
I told him he's good. I'm aware that he needs to get back in because he moved over so he could slow down without braking. You can see that the road is going up. It's not very steep, but you have to adjust your gearing. You have to shift. You can't be shy to keep your rhythm in the same range. We should be getting fairly close to the turnoff. This will get us off of 149 and into the Sam Houston National Forest on the eastern tip of it towards Mount Pleasant. Lake Mount Pleasant Road is called. There's a lake in there in a subdivision that is called Lake Mount Pleasant, and the road is named after the lake. So it's actually called Lake Mount Pleasant Road. Or we just refer to it as Mount Pleasant Road.
Left turn in the distance.
Left turn.
Where that sign is, you see that?
So I'm going to check my mirror, and then I'm going to take the lane because it happens to be clear, which lets the guy up front know when he looks back and sees me in the lane, he knows it's clear. And we're pointing that we're turning left. There were no cars coming behind us. It's easy to miss this turn. And you end up just going straight into Montgomery and you miss the panache of the forest. But somewhere around here, I'm going to get in the main lane.
Clear back. It's clear. Car up.
So we look for the car coming forward and the car coming from Hidden Forest Road on the left. See how the road is very, it's like it's down and it's curving, a decreasing radius turn right there. So you can miss that road. This gets us into the forest. And that 149 stretch is part of the forest too. But this is a quieter stretch. Few private homes that have some subdivisions in here. And once you turn here in the distance there, the road kicks up to about 5%. You will see the watts go up. Right here. You see John standing? I had to do 700 some watts to maintain the distance I wanted. Then I got to slow down because they backed off. So you see watts go to 0. In about 200 meters, we're going to be turning right.
Right turn.
And this hidden forest road now we're turning onto Mount Pleasant Road. Lake Mount Pleasant Road. This is why I always say the back is not easy. We had to do 600 and some watts just to catch up to these guys. So when you're sitting at the back, sometimes you gotta work your tail off. So you're better off staying tight. You know, I'm sitting back there because I want to do the work. Because we have enough people pulling, but it's like, yeah, you got to be in shape to stay back there. It's not easy at the back. Depends on the terrain, you know. If you're rolling on the flats, yeah, you can sit in there and roll along. But when it's punchy, you got to put out the watts. So I stay off the wheels a little bit because I kind of want to do the work. I'm sitting and just watching. In a little while, something will fall, and then Chris will tell us the way. I think somewhere here.
Hold on. I think he dropped something. Chris dropped something. I think Chris dropped something.
Chris said, hold up. Something fell.
Chris dropped something.
And we speculated later at the stop that it might have been a tool that Mike was scared.
He hit a bump or something.
So Mike said he thought it was him because he heard it too. So this part we've cut to the point where we waited for a few minutes and we still hadn't seen Chris. So right here I'm gonna
see him. I don't know if this had a mechanical or.
So I'm gonna say let's turn around and then we'll see him. We're about to turn around.
We need to stop, guys. Yeah.
We don't want to leave him in the forest.
See him, guys.
So we're about to turn around and then Darren sees him.
We need to go back.
Yeah, we don't want to leave man down.
Okay, good.
So Darren sees him.
Okay.
Yeah, I see him.
Okay.
So I'm gonna hang back a little bit. Because John, Jonathan, Pedro, they're up ahead, and Chris is behind me. So Chris is gonna come and then we're gonna ride up to them. So it ended up being a tool. Mike Barrera thinks that it's one of the tools he was carrying. He had taped them together. It was like a 3mm Allen key that may have. We just heard the ping on the pavement, and so Chris thought somebody had dropped a ring or something. So I'm waiting for him here.
Like a metal ring. I heard a ping or something. Yeah. I didn't know what I was looking at. Like everybody heard it. He thought it was him. Someone in front of him. Okay.
Yeah, it was Mike. We think it was Mike that dropped a tool. He doesn't understand how it fell out, but so.
Yeah, everybody heard it.
So we're gonna ride up to them here. a right turn. There's a car. There's a car coming. That's a dead end. That's where Lake Mount Pleasant is, on that left. There's a lake back there. That's what this road is named for. I'm going to go around Chris in a little bit and pull him up.
Okay, everybody's here.
This is why we like these little roads. You see cyclists going the other way.
Yeah, everybody heard it. I
Besides
thought it was him.
He's telling people to check their pockets to see if they dropped anything. Because we don't know at this point what it was, but we all heard the noise. A metallic ping on the pavement, and then
Make sure you got your car keys, all that good stuff.
Yeah.
That was crazy.
So in a little bit, we're going to hit a succession of hills, which will take us to the FM 1097. On the eastern tip of it, that will take us to Taco Corner. So we'll resume the ride. So this descends and then it kicks up. Look in the distance. There's two of those. The second one is much longer. It's about probably a kilometer or so. So we're on the first one here. So Jonathan said he really liked the route. Yeah, you get a good workout on this route. No messing around. You gotta be ready to ride. You gotta bring your best legs. So they start to chat. I'm gonna go around them because these guys are riding up there, and I want to stay on the wheels. They're talking. I'm not sure what they're talking about. But if you stay here, then you end up putting a big effort to get up there later, and there's a long climb coming up. So I go around them and I ride up to these guys. So the climb starts here and it continues. It will go up and curve. It's a nice climb. When we come the other way, it's a long descent. A lot of patina. So we're still climbing. It continues. See how it curves to the left? And then it'll kick up in the distance. Somebody said car back, so we'll move a little more to the right. Yeah. So he can go by. And right around here, I'm going to make a move to the front because I don't want them to slow down. This is where it's ending. The pitch is really kicking up here. %. I'm going to go to the front. This is where it's really hard. Somebody said car back, so I drift to the front, move to the right. And then Mike Barrera came with me, so he's just going to swing around me. And the climb is about to end, and we're going to ride over the climb and keep the effort high. This way, the little guys who like to push on the climb, they get to be held to the fore here, meaning the road flattens out, we're going to keep the effort high. So if you had bombed the climb and given everything you got, then you will have to face the moment of truth on this stretch because we're moving. Because it's like a flat road slightly. It's at -1. It's pretty flat here, but the wind is pounding us because the day has warmed up, and now we got the south wind. It's southeasterly. The wind is coming from in our face and from the left. So southeaster, that's what we get most of the summer from the Gulf. So it's not easy here holding 26 miles an hour, 42, 43K. We're working. We're in big gears here. 27, 28 miles an hour. We're not messing around. I mean like a 53-15 or something ridiculous like that. I'm coasting right here just because I've been sucked along. And now I start to pedal again. But my effort is keeping the cadence close to 88 to 92, something like that, RPMs, yeah. I want to feel the gear here. I'm not doing a lot of fancy high cadence spinning. I'm working. Because in the distance, the road is going to kick up. So I want my legs to feel that gear. And I'm staying in the draft. You can see how close I am behind Mike. I'm about a foot off his wheel. If I were pulling, my partner would be at least 10 beats higher. This is where it kicks up. It probably gets around 3%. We're approaching the highway back there. They told us to slow down because we got somebody off the back.
Top of the corner.
There's a lot of chatter back there.
That's what Mike said. There's a lot of chatter back there. It's a short wait and then he catches up. I'm riding up to that shade to stand in there because that sun is pounding. Stand right here.
Who dropped? Pedro?
We lost it.
Okay.
Beautiful day.
Car back.
We lost the big boy on the last climb there, so he was gapped a little bit, but he was right there. So we'll regroup and we'll resume. I took a drink there and I'm gonna ride back up to them. And this is how you can kind of push yourself. You you're off the back or you're a little off the wheels, you sit there for a little while like that, then get back in the draft, take a break, then go back. You can still be working when you're not pulling. And that will prepare you for the ability to close some gaps, just do some work. A lot of different ways to do it. Look at this day. I mean, it's like a complete 180-degree change from this morning, from early in the morning. So this is 1097, the stretch that's on the eastern side. We have two of them with the same name. And this is taking us to Taco. This is after leaving Taco. We are approaching Old Plantersville Road near the railroad track behind the school. We took the historic path. And Old Plantersville Road would take us to Springbranch Road. Because after 1097, we stopped at Taco. There were a bunch of other groups that came, we chatted, and then we were finishing up our ride. So it's almost 11 o'clock. We got back into the woodlands like 11:50, something around there. So we're about an hour from finishing the ride into the woodlands. And then after that, I have another hour to get home. So I have about 2 hours left. They have an hour. So we're an hour away, which is pretty impressive. From way out here, it took us an hour. So we were moving, and we were going into the wind. So 10:50 to 11:50, or was it 12:50? No, 11:50. It was almost 12 o'clock when we got into the woodlands. Yeah. So we've got about an hour left in this ride. So that means we were moving. It's at least another 22 miles or so to finish the ride. So we're moving. So right here we got the wind behind us a little bit from the east. Then we're going to turn south and the wind will be in our face. So when we left Taco, we took what we call the historic route through downtown Montgomery.
I'm back.
And we looked at their old buildings. They've got these 100-year-old buildings that have been refurbished. They're in great condition. People live in there, single-family homes. But it's almost like a time warp, like we're back in town, in time. Very beautiful, very simple homes. They did this on these roads supposedly for more traction. Did the same thing on Honey, Egypt. I don't care for it. Whenever I go over it, I increase my gearing for more stability. And, I keep my air pressure pretty reasonable, so they don't bother me that much, but I don't like them. Springbranch Road. I think Jonathan's at the front. There's a car back. I let him know there's a car back. There was a gap. There were a few riders off the front, so we're gonna ride up to them. So let these guys go, and then we're gonna resume. I mean, we're this ride where there was no messing around. It was just a great ride. Jonathan's moving to the front. He's gonna force the pace. We're just gonna sit in. Chris is on my wheel. I'm sitting on Mike's wheel. ride was very, very fast. It's a great workout. There was no messing around. We're moving here. 44K. The wind's coming from our face and on the left. But with the trees here, we're not being bombarded as much right now, but there are sections of the road where it does hit you. And then, of course, with the rollers. So we're putting in the work. At 300 watts in the pace line, you're working. That means the guy at the front is at least doing 400 watts or something. So 45 kilometers an hour. It's 28 miles an hour, you know, so we're moving. And so when we hit the rollers, we'll get to like 25 miles an hour. Then when it levels off, 27, 28. This whole stretch, pretty much, you know, mostly. So I'm riding like a 5316 thereabouts. And then I shift down or up depending on the terrain. So I don't have to shift too much. Just rev it up when I need to. Pedal a little slower when I need to. So in certain situations, you want to find a gear that kind of belongs to you. What I mean by that is a gear that you can whip up when you need to, or just cruise in it when you need to. So you're not searching. And in terrain like this, most of your shifting should be one down or one up. Except when you're going on a steep downhill. Those dogs in that yard on the right, they're always running. They'll run even in the opposite direction just to be running because they see us. Every time I come there, I call out for them. I call them my boys. Where are my boys? It's a nice downhill stretch here. Going this fast downhill, I back off just a little because you're not going to lose much ground. And then right before the road starts to go up, I close up. like here. That wind is pounding. I'm sitting a little to Mike's left. I'm actually looking for, there are little stripes that they put on the road. They're like rumble strips, so to speak. And I'm looking for them. They're not that bad if you go over them, but I like to avoid them. I think I end up seeing them at the last minute. Go right, it is hard. Nobody's pointing anything out that much. Plus, I know where they are, you know, and I'll see them and swing around it. You can't depend on people pointing things out. You got to be able to see around the riders. If they point it out as a courtesy. I think those strips are further ahead. Yeah, that was it. Now went over. There's another set coming. I'm going to take the middle. Right here. And then I'm going to stay in the middle here. Yeah, you got to be alert. Or you can lose some ground and then you have to work hard. So instead of 600 watts, I only did 4 something. But we're moving. 27, 28 miles an hour. Now we turn directly into the wind because we're going to be going downhill. This is the 9% climb when you're coming north or northwesterly. We're going more easterly than south. It's kind of like you see above the Cyclist that said east and southeast. And I'm descending so fast, I go around Darren there. I'm surprised that I went down faster than he is. I mean, he's a big guy right here. You think he would have been going faster than I was. I like sitting on Darren's wheel because you get a great draft. One of the tallest guys in the area. So the wind is coming now from the right and in our face, but mostly from in our face. So you see, I'm going to drift a little behind Mike here. And this is where this is where you really start working. Because you're dealing with the wind, and this is a grade until we get to 149. It has a slight hiatus, but it's mostly like a false flat, up to 2%, well, up to 4 at 149, where it hits 149. But this stretch just a drag. And if you're tired and you hit this stretch, you can feel it. So we're fighting the wind here. kick back up to 2% here. It's gonna go in the distance, gonna curve. It's gonna curve towards the north, which is a little bit of a respite, but then you're getting the wind from the east, then it will go back to the east. You can see the above the cyclist head that the north is trying to come from north. It's going kind of a northeasterly, then it's going mostly north. Mike goes around Darren here. He's going to help Jonathan with the pull. We'll give Jonathan a wheel. So now we're going to be turning more towards the east. We'll go from northeasterly to east. You can see the east coming. So we're going into the wind here. I'm sitting on this white line because that's where the shelter is. Because the wind has shifted mostly from the east. And as long as you don't overlap, I don't worry too much about what someone else is doing in front of me. Whether they drift left or right, it doesn't bother me. I hold my line, I keep my front wheel protected. They were trying, I think, to do an echelon. I think that's what we're trying to do here, yeah. It was kind of an inopportune time for it because a lot of these guys were tired. And you will see we attempted. Is it here? I'm trying to remember where I think we did. We attempted it for there. We attempted a little bit, but the ride was already very hard. And when you start doing this, unless you're very smooth, it takes a lot of effort out of the riders that are tired. So I roll to the front here. I'm gonna get in front of Darren. You get a bit of a break. It's good to do an echelon because you get the rest. The next rider is gonna come in front of me. Right here, that's Mike. But now we've come to this 4% climb. And Chris can't go around Mike. Chris was supposed to go in front of Mike, but the line has scattered. So I stand up here and just ride up this thing. It's about 4%, and we're gonna turn right. I just put it in a big gear here and ride up and just sit. We're gonna go up this little climb and then we're gonna descend. At this point, we have a split in the group. That's why I said some of the riders were tired. That echelon, the attempt at that echelon took a lot out of some people in that section. So we're descending here. I'm going to back off a little bit so I can see my line. And that's what you should do whenever you're riding in a group and you're going down a descent. Back off just a little bit. Put an extra bike length in there. Just have that little cushion. I'm looking around Pedro. I can see what's going on. And then we're starting to go up, so now I get closer. I'll go ahead and move over. It's clear. We're going to be turning left. So it's just us 5 up here. Jonathan stayed back with Darren. So we're going to soft pedal when we turn instead of stopping. Because John going to let us.
We lost a couple people.
So John going to stay back with Darren. And so we're going to just soft pedal here.
Not yet.
So we're waiting by just kind of soft pedaling. So this is a good time to take a drink, eat something if you need to. Even if you're not hungry, you'll throw something in there, depending on how you feel. In a little bit, Jonathan will come by and go to the front, so we know they're here. Because Mike's just keeping it around 17, 18 miles an hour. You figure they'll do 22 to catch us. It's easy for them in this terrain anyway. So Jonathan goes to the front, goes off. Mike maintains what he was doing. He's gonna wait for somebody else to get up there. He's been pulling for a while. So then John takes the lead. I'm gonna go with John, I believe, or do I get? I don't know if I think Mike gets in front of me. I don't remember. No, I'll go around him. Okay. We're gonna ride up to Jonathan and resume what we've been doing. It doesn't take much in cycling for you to get in a spot of bother. So you always got to be stingy with how you dose out your effort. Always save a little something. What I said about saving a little something is because, yeah, this is flat terrain. You don't want to go crazy here, even if it's your favorite terrain. Because I know when we get into the neighborhood, there's a lot of lumps in there, and we're going to be going into the wind. And that's where it will count to have a little extra in your tank, like a tiger in your tank, so to speak. So now is the time to just chill and sit in and just do the necessary work. Don't do any more than you have to. So you can go with the necessary moves when it matters. Clement Chabousson from the AG2 Citron La Mondialité. John looks good in his Asos Akip RS kit. Got the matching socks. Cyan blue. Blue black. So Jonathan pulls off. John's gonna take the lead. So I'm really low right now because John is smaller than I am, and he's in the drops. So I get down really low on this, so I can take advantage of the draft. So you have to be able to get low enough and still generate some power. This road is up and down. Mine, about 2%. Minor gradients. John's stretching his neck. He's stretching his neck. It was a hard ride. We had a good workout. I'm gonna go ahead and ride past him. He's been up there long enough. I figure I'll give him a spell at the front. You notice how the watts went up when I hit the wind? I'm going into the wind here, and we're doing 26 miles an hour, thereabouts. Let's say 25, 24 right now. We're going directly into the east wind. And you see the watts, 350 watts.
Trash can.
There's a trash can on the right, and Pedro's yelling trash can. I just point to the trash can. But nobody can hear that stuff in this wind, except for somebody right next to you. So you point. So we were riding like there was no wind. That's Mike Pereras from San Diego, California. I slip on the back and I shift up to our larger gear. Take a drink because I'm getting ready. We're going to be going into the neighborhood in about 200 meters. We're going to turn right. So I checked, there's no car coming, so I'm going to get into the main lane to let them know, because you can carry the speed easier if you turn from near the yellow line. Mike's going to look behind because that's what he wants to do. He wants to turn for the main lane. When he looks behind, he's going to see me, and so he's going to say, oh yeah, execute this turn. I can carry a nice smooth line. You can see I'm not even pedaling. Now I start to pedal. We came through this neighborhood like we were angry. As the French say, in anger. We were pedaling in anger. Because now the wind is from the left and in our face. That's what warmed up this day to 30 Celsius. About 85 degrees Fahrenheit. Where the first hill kicks in, and you can see it's like a stair step. So it kicks in, it levels off, then it goes back up. So you got to use your gears correctly. I think we started echelon somewhere here. I don't know if it's here. And it really went well. I think it was here. See, Mike gives Darren his wheel, and then I go by. Mike didn't have to say anything. I knew what he was doing. It's very windy, so that's the way to go. So everybody takes a short pull. So I move over. John come up. John came up a little too fast. And if that happens, that's okay. I don't chase the wheel. I stay where I am and look for the last guy. And I slip behind Mike. Because you want to go just enough to pass the rider that pulls off, so you're not continually accelerating. Because the rider that pulls off should slow down a little bit. But Darren is going to go to the right. And I don't know if this is where he gaps somebody. I think it's, yeah, right here. See, he's too far ahead. This guy doesn't have any protection. So the line is destroyed. So Mike's going to let him know. And that takes a lot of energy out of him. So I roll by and I get in front of Mike. But that move messed up the group to where I don't think we stayed together. I think we'll probably recover, because I remember Mike complimenting us on how well we looked like a unit. Yeah, something like that. So we're rolling, and this way everybody just spends a little bit of time in the wind. There we go. Yeah, that's what he said. We look like a military unit. So I slip behind him. Now I'm going to accelerate because the pace is picking up a little bit. You got to be smooth. When you pull off, you slow down just a little. Not much. See, too much of a gap. Too much of a gap right there. He went too fast. That wastes your energy. That's what Mike's going to tell him. And he spends a lot of energy doing that. It wears you out. And then we're coming on this climb, so that the line has kind of broken because this terrain is tough. And then we're turning into the wind here. This is east now. The wind is pounding us. John pulls over. He comes over. You can hear it's quieter. And see, there's nobody coming through. They're tired. So I'm going to move up. And then just stand up. We're coming to the gate now anyway. But that's what happens when you gap the other rider. They don't get a chance to catch their breath. We had some challenges getting this gate to activate today, but we got it sorted.
Here we are. Last week, so who knows? I'll keep trying.
So we start this climb. I'm not sure who's up there. I think it's Pedro. We got Mike up there, Darren.
I've got a cyclist ride through my neighborhood in cars.
Here we're talking about it would be nice to have other cyclists come to our neighborhood. They had a Ironman race one time that came through our neighborhood. That was cool. I was out there cheering the riders on. It's kind of nice.
I'm not sure what it is this week.
Chris is asking me when the Tour of Flanders is. It is this weekend. I wasn't sure which day it was, but I told him I'm sure Mike knew.
But they had Wimbledon last week.
I told him I'm sure Mike knows about it.
I definitely know Mike Barrera knows. Yeah, because he actually subscribed to one of those European.
Senor Barreras from San Diego, California. He has one of those subscriptions to the European racing circuit. The thing is, they have so many different organizations that carry different races, so it's like you end up you have to pick which one you get, what kind of races you're getting. It's a nice little climb here. He just asked Mike when the Tour of Flanders was. It was an awesome race. I watched part of it. Very aggressive. Bit of a hiatus in the ride, but it's gonna pick up. I mean, we're moving along at 37K with the wind coming from in our face and from the left, so the pace is still really good. But we're gonna go even harder in a little bit. Low road on the left is called Linda's Place. It's a little cul-de-sac. It's about 50 meters long to the cul-de-sac. It's just a short little stump of a road. The Grand Lake Estates. People have large acreage properties on this side anyway. Everybody built a suit. Mike takes off. Shempusan goes. And I'm not sure whether he's going to get up there or it looks like he's getting on Jonathan's wheel. Right before we turned, there was a car in the intersection, but the white car, he's going to go. So once he goes, it's clear. So we lean it, and you got to be alert. Otherwise, you have to work really hard. You can see I'm not even pedaling. I took that corner. I used my momentum from back there. And right here, you can see the watch because this is a climb. Shempusan is working hard to get up there. I just remain seated. I just used the proper gears. I moved to the right so I wouldn't have to brake. You know, all that momentum. I can use my momentum. Because Shempusan did that effort, and I think he needed a brake. Because I just went around on the right and now I'm in third position. I don't know if he comes back or not. I think he might be on my wheel right now. But that's how you have to ride. You have to be crafty. The French call it tête à gêne. Head and legs. You have to be using your head. You have to think. It's all about timing. It's those little subtle moves that make the difference. So he expended all that energy. I just went around on the right. Because what I did was I took a cleaner line and I didn't need to work as hard. I just worked hard enough. Now we're going into the wind, believe it or not, at 45K right here. And this is flat. Now it's going to go downhill. Look at the hills in the distance. We don't slow down much on this stretch. I was very impressed with the effort here. It's good effort. Didn't have to deal with too many cars at all. We were just using the road. It was nice. Felt like a closed course. We're going fast, so I'm in the draft. Not messing around. It's not the time to mess around. You see my wheel? Right there. I'm about half a foot off of his wheel. We went over that hill like it was flat. It's like we're on autopilot in this trip. 42K into the headwind. Head cross from the right and head from the front. We had no assistance here. And even though the wind's coming from the south, it felt like it was mostly from the east. You know, that's how it is down here. It varies. The intensity varies. So between the wind, then this grade, yeah, the speeds are coming down, but the effort is the same. As you can see the watts. The heart rate has to recover and catch up. You know, by the time it catches up, we're going downhill again. So that's the thing about heart rate training. You gotta wait for it to register what the body's doing to react to the exercise. The power training is very immediate and accurate. This is what you're putting out now. It doesn't care about your body. So you gotta really know how you're training with power. If you're tired, you better listen to your body. So we're going into the wind at about 40 kilometers an hour. And then I think it's after this little bump, John's gonna go to the front. And then the wind's gonna hit him and he's gonna slow down. Right here. I see his wheel on my left. I don't know why he's sitting there because it's like, there's not a whole lot of shelter there. The shelter is where I am. I mean, I'm always looking for it. But right here, he's gonna go up there and that wind will hit him. You can see my watts, 277, whatever. Right here. That takes a lot of effort. He's going up there, and he doesn't realize this is not your terrain, buddy. He's going to go to the front, and he'll give Mike a wheel, but then the speed's going to drop. I'm going to feel the speed drop. Well, Mike's been there all this time. So I'm going to go to the front and lift it back to where it was. Because if you're going to go to the front, don't go there and slow it down. You're not blocking for a teammate. And you're better off staying in the back. So right around here, we start slowing down. Right here. I just maintained my momentum. You could see that. I didn't want to slow down.
Put hair in your chest.
Mike said, grow some hair in your chest. I don't know what that was about. And I got to the front and took it back up to 40K. This wind is brutal. I was not looking at power. I was not looking at anything. I was just rolling with the effort of where it should be. You can see my heart rate went up 20 beats in just that instant. I don't know how long I stayed up here. I stayed up long enough and then I flicked my elbow. But when you're going this fast, you don't need to be there more than 30, 45 seconds. And now he comes back. And then I just slipped. I think someone else is here. Yeah, Pedro. That was to let him know you don't go to the front and slow down like that. He slowed down so much that had I not gone to the front, I would have had to hit my brakes behind Jonathan. That wind was something. So yeah, now he's off the front. Wisely so, because it's hard up there. Mike said, grow some hair on your chest. Mike has all these little sayings with deep meanings that you got to read into it. But as you can see, I don't know what you did this weekend, but this is part of what we did on Saturday. And it may sound crazy. It was a hard ride, but it was a lot of fun. I had no trouble going to bed Saturday night at all. So remember, get your K's in. And no matter what, keep all the doctor's fire. He said we're going to get the Linda's guy to climb the wall. The cars are going to activate the gate. And then we're going to roll through the gate and we're going to regroup There are a few riders off the pace right now. So this allows them to catch up. So he said Chris has a mechanical. It ended up not being a mechanical. We weren't sure what it was, but we couldn't figure it out. We just resumed. That's Chris. So I'm going to clip in and ride through the gate. So until next week, keep those doctors far.
Your bike just doesn't go this hard during the week.
I was definitely in the habit of eating and drinking in excess this week.